Hello, it's Susie Nightingale unboxing the Perfume Society's seasonal scent subscription box for autumn. We made it to autumn. It's my favourite month. I actually think it's the best month for smelling our fragrances. Summer heat can evaporate them too quickly. Winter cold can kind of numb our noses and we're wrapped up in layers. We can't always smell them on our skin. Autumn, I think, is the ideal fragrance lovers month. So let's dive into this box and explore it with you. The first one I want you to try is Widian Banayas. And I think you'll agree the sample is so beautifully presented, such evocative drawings and such an evocative brand because they make us think of travelling, of being warm but somewhere in an unfamiliar landscape that you're exploring, and here you're going to explore it with your nose. Now the warmth in this comes from the base notes, as will a lot of these fragrances. So you've got patchouli, sandalwood, vetiver in here. Some of my favourite all-time notes, especially the vetiver and the patchouli. The sandalwood is that creamy smoothness as opposed to cedar wood. Some people ask the difference. Cedar tends to be drier, more like pencil sharpenings, that sort of woody smell, or sawdust, whereas sandalwood is almost a textural fabric. It's silky, smooth, creamy, even milky sometimes, and it adds a creaminess to this fragrance. So Banayas has Artemisia and lavender and bergamot up top, and then geranium, cedarwood, there's that dryness, and then agar wood. Now, this to me feels like you're walking through the most beautiful palace garden, just somewhere stunningly beautiful. There's a warmth in the air, but you can also feel a chill, that turn in seasons. And perhaps you're wearing a lovely velvet jacket or a velvet textural scarf, something warm but soft and not too heavy. It's such a stunning fragrance that I really implore you to try the others in their range. They all take you to different locations around the world. Now, the next one is a really exciting house. They are all based on East Asian and Chinese philosophies, and their fragrances, which you can read much more about, and their founders and why they started the fragrance house A La Lune on their brand page on perfumesociety.org. And the Chinese philosophy that they subscribe to, and we definitely do at the Perfume Society as well, is that perfume is much more than smelling nice, that it can actually in some ways heal your soul. So it was almost seen as a sort of medicine that you smell that reaches you inside, deep inside. And we completely believe that too. I think we've all had that experience of wearing a fragrance, especially in autumn when perhaps you're wearing wool and a wool scarf or a wool sweater, and the fragrance lasts much longer than it does just on your skin, certainly in the heat of the summer. Now, the one that we were going to give you has been replaced by Trinity Blood. Again, gorgeously presented with a little scroll with more information on, because they had stock issues for the other one. So we wanted to make sure everyone had the same fragrance. And Trinity Blood, to my mind, is the perfect autumnal scent. So don't be scared of the word blood. So it has got metallic and blood notes, they say, but you don't have to be Dracula to appreciate this. It's more of that kind of metallic, almost like a cold knife in the air, if you've left a knife out in the cold, and that's that metallic glint, that silveriness that cuts through other notes. The crispness in the air, just when you smell that turn of seasons, as I was saying. The slight frost in the morning maybe that just makes fallen leaves sparkle, that kind of metallicness. Then there's blackberry, which is a note that I adore and I so associate with that late summer turning into autumn, making blackberry gin, as I do, or chutneys and jams. And then there's myrtle and vetiver. Now in the base, there's patchouli and frankincense is riven throughout the A La Lune fragrances. It's very important to many different cultures and religions and historic practices. And so they really make the most of frankincense and exploring its different characters in all of their fragrances. I think you're really going to enjoy trying this so unusual house. Now, house I'm sure you've heard of, and most of us have tried, even if it's their hand washes or luxurious shower gels and body products, and of course their amazing niche fragrance range. Now, this is the latest one from Molton Brown, a beloved British house, and it's Wild Mint and Lavandin. So you might think, oh, I don't like lavender fragrances. This is Lavandin, and it's far preferred by many perfumers because it's a deeper, longer lasting, more powerful smell, and it doesn't smell of dusty lavender bags. So if you hated that smell, don't worry about it. It's certainly not that. It's a reinvention of a fresh aromatic fougere. So it invites you, they say, to explore beyond your boundaries, to push yourself just that little bit into the wild, into the unknown again, and maybe make this autumn a time that you try new things, whether that's a new fragrance or a new activity or going somewhere new, and just push yourself beyond wrapping yourself up in a coat and wishing it was summer still. Let's embrace autumn and the sense of newness that a new fragrance can give us as well. Now, Wild Mint and Lavandin. The wild mint, again, it's not a toothpastey mint. I think some people really worry about mint in fragrance. The mint in here is that coolness in the air. It's just that crispness where you get excited about a new season beginning. And then the Lavandin is almost peppery. It's almost a spicy lavender note, especially with the addition of nutmeg in here. And then there's orris and tonka bean, which just makes everything hushed. And I think quite a sexy sort of nozzle as it dries down on your skin, but you see how you get on. I love this one. A fragrance that I absolutely fell madly for when I first smelled it, and pretty much have been obsessed with ever since, is Acro Bake. Now, this has had so many reviews online. I know it's sold out several times. Again, they had stock issues just trying to meet the supply and demand for this fragrance, because Bake is based on a lemon cake, a lemon cupcake. Now, don't run screaming if you hate gourmands. It is not too sweet. It's almost this creamy silkiness of a cake batter. So it isn't sugary. It's got some crystallized lemon peel note to me, but it's not a hit of sugar. It's far more sophisticated than that. It almost goes through this photorealistic process that you've just whipped up the cake batter. You couldn't resist licking the spoon, obviously. And then you can smell that sort of steamed lemon sponge in the oven, the smell of it filling your house. And it's so delicious. It's so addictive. It's an all-day wrist sniffer, 100%. I think the majority of you are going to fall madly for it too. If you don't, I know you will have someone in your life who will. It is addictive, and that's very appropriate because all of the Acro fragrances by Olivier Cresp and his daughter Anne, who started the company together, they're all based on addictions, and we are certainly addicted to perfume at the Perfume Society, as are you. Now, the next one is a gorgeous Australian niche house that we have long loved at the Perfume Society. It's Map of the Heart, an incredibly fascinating couple who started the brand. Please read all about them on the brand page as well on perfumesociety.org. They're so creative. They're into film and music and creating in all sorts of ways, and fragrance fits into their creative landscape just as much as any of those arts do. Abundance V8 is the latest one. I actually got to smell this in Milan Essence, which is the fragrance trade fair earlier this year, and again fell in love with it. Their stand was so busy with people trying to get a sniff of this one. It's got bitter orange, pink pepper and incense again. It's almost like that wisp of bonfire smoke on a cool breeze, but there's still warm sunlight, that gilded golden sunlight that you get at autumn, almost the colour of the heart, which is their bottle shape on the sample card here. It's got flame tree. They love using unusual native Australian ingredients along with sandalwood, which runs like through their veins in their very heart of this brand. akigala wood, and then there's white sandalwood and benzoin. So yes, it's very woody, it's spicy, it's warming, you get that tingle of excitement. Absolutely love it. Now, Granado Pharmacia Nostalgia is the next one, another beautifully presented fragrance. And it's interesting the colours that they choose. They're obviously so carefully chosen, because this is exactly the colour that I would think of when I smell this fragrance, which is a really interesting exercise to do. If you read the smelling notes, we give you some questions to prompt you as you're thinking about the fragrance, rather than do I like it or not, or can I just smell all the notes in it. It's really interesting to have a more abstract way of thinking about fragrance to really get to know it, and that's how perfumists train as well. Now, nostalgia it's nostalgic. That sounds ridiculous to say, so obvious, but stay with me, because it's this cashmere note in the base, I think, that feels so pleasing. It's like a hug in the base, and it's that cashmere, it's cashmeran in the base, and it smells like, yeah, just a really clean, fluffy, really lightweight wrap that you've put around your shoulders, a scarf or a blanket that you've pulled over yourself if you're just feeling a little bit chilly. There's some beautiful floral notes in here, orange blossom, rose and lily, and then up top you've got pink pepper, bergamot and mandarin, which is almost like a little sparkle on top. It's almost like the sparkle that you get on Prosecco or champagne, or some beautiful cocktail that's just been poured out. So yeah, maybe you're sitting outdoors, you're having a lovely little cocktail, and you've just put a little cashmere wrap over your shoulders because you're a little bit chilly, but you don't want to go in yet because it's still gorgeous. Such a beautiful house and so historic. Again, another amazing founding story. Read all about that on perfumesociety.org as well, in the brand page section. Oh, now, Famine London. They are doing the most beautiful fragrances. It's a fragrance house that I hadn't really explored until relatively recently in its entirety. I'd smelled some here and there. I think some of their most recent fragrances are just so inventive, so interesting, really pushing the boundaries, and yet classically beautifully made. And Insignia definitely is. So you've got bitter orange in here as well. Such an autumnal note to me, and a whiskey accord with milky fig. So yeah, it's like maybe you've slipped a bit of whiskey in your tea, or in some sort of hot milky drink. It's that sort of experience. So it's not full on sitting by a roaring fire, but yeah, you just want a little nip of something warming, and that's what that's doing in this fragrance. Then you've got damask rose and geranium and bay leaf. So it's not too sweet again, it's not too milky. You've got a sort of herbaceousness in there as well, and then this woody dry down, sandalwood and vetiver, and the most incredible base, which they were telling us about. It's called Cuir Velours de l'Air. Now, de l'Air was an historic French house that only made bases for perfumers. They were exclusive accords that would add a certain joie de vivre, a certain je ne sais quoi. That's the extent of my French. And you can really smell that in this fragrance. It's a leather like no other. It's such a complex, almost slightly boozy again, almost slightly plummy, stoned fruit, leather, booziness. Amazing. Soaky London. Now, I'm sure you might have followed the progress of this amazing YouTuber. She loves fragrance. She's been obsessed with it for so long, and she wanted to create really lovely fragrances that were long lasting but also more affordable, so that more people could get the opportunity to try them. And so she worked with the perfumer Ruth Marstonbrook for this latest one, which is Aphrodite. Now, it's a little bit more unexpected to find in an autumnal box because it's fruity, it's got mango, it's got palm milk, and coconut milk, and lotus as well. So you're thinking exotic holidays. But I think there comes a point where in autumn, you're sort of longing for summer again, and yet you're looking forward as well. So it's that in between time. So this to me is, if it's one of those warmer autumnal days, which as I film this, we're currently experiencing, cross your fingers that that stays for as long as possible, given the summer that we did have. But these are those really warm days where you don't even need a coat. You can go out. You know it's not quite summer. There's a particular quality to the light that's warmer. It's less in your face, I think. It's more like the equivalent to a beautiful candlelight rather than a neon light of summer. And so think of a candle-lit late summer, early autumn supper. You have got some beautiful fruity cocktails. You're somewhere beautiful by the sea, I think. Aphrodite should be by the sea. And yeah, it's a sort of lazy, hazy, blissful, but romantic fragrance. So I think you should romance yourself, wear this. Think of happy summer memories, or just be happy that you're in a gorgeous autumnal day while you're wearing it. Really hope that you've enjoyed going through these fragrances with me today, that you try them. You don't have to try them all at once. I mean, I usually do. Sorry, but I do. Tell us your favourites. You can jot down your notes of your favourites on the back of the card and things that you think about while you're smelling them. But let's all agree to push ourselves this autumn, try new things and just delight in this gorgeous season. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.